Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. But we are joined for the first time ever by very special guests. We're rolling out the red carpet for Coach Greg Curl, a.k.a. the father of our own Cameron Curl. How are you doing tonight, Greg? Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm good, fellas. I'm good.
Hey, first thing I wanted to ask you, you obviously being a parent of Cameron Curl, having a vested interest into this team, what is your whole mindset and thought process with this team right now? Because a lot of the fan base is almost kind of in panic mode, even though this team is 2-2. They're very doom and gloom. What is your overall thought with this team? Do you think they're growing, or this is who they are?
Nah, they growing, man. I mean, we got to look at it on the defense, especially the back end. It's only two guys back there that's really familiar with what's going on, and that's Cam and Fuller. People say Collins, but Collins missed over half the season last year, so he's still learning, and they still gelling and everything. And I think the more it goes on, the better it's gonna get. These guys are gonna click. The front line gonna click. Everybody gonna click because it's complementary. Football, especially on the defensive side, is complementary. Yeah. The defensive line complement the secondary, and vice versa. So it's gonna click, man. Hey, as bad as we have played, I'm happy being 2-2. You know what I'm saying?
Man, dude, that's what I'm saying.
Because the way we've tried to lose games and still won, I'm good. So once we get it going, I'm even more, even more confident that these guys can go ahead and pull it off.
Right. And flipping to the other side of the ball, a lot of people going into the season, they thought that the offense would kind of get off to a slow start, defense would carry this team, but it's kind of been the vice versa. How surprised have you been to this offense, and how surprised have you been about Taylor Heinicke coming in and kind of getting this team to 2 wins so far?
Just a little bit surprised. Taylor Heinicke, just the way he carries himself and the way he does stuff, it doesn't surprise me what he's doing. Because he wants to play. He wants to be good. He goes out there. He's going to give it all. If one person walks off the field dirty, bloody, and bruised, it's going to be Taylor Heinicke, because he going to give everything he got to try to get it done.
He attacks a football field like he chugs beers.
Oh, yeah. For real. He's still rough around the edges. He's still coming along, but the dude is going to do whatever he can to make a play and get it out there. And I'm happy because, like I said, complimentary football. Our defense ain't playing the way everybody expected to, and thank God our offense isn't either. Right. They're not playing the way we expected. They're playing better. So everything is evening out right now, but it's all going to click and it's all going to gel.
Your mic's off, Reed. There you go. You're good now.
There we go. Yeah, sorry about that. We had Cam on the show, by the way, not too long ago, a few months ago, and you guys have very similar mannerisms. You could definitely tell that you're his dad. But anyway, obviously, Cam better than just about anybody, pretty much. Does he hear this outside chatter from the fan base and around the league, people saying that this defense isn't living up to expectations? Maybe it's overrated. Maybe last year was kind of a fluke. You think he hears that? You think that locker room knows what's going on?
I'm sure. He has a Twitter account. I'm sure he does.
Right.
He's the type of player that, dude, he played at Arkansas.
Right.
So,
That's valid point.
He's the type of kid, that's the guy that ain't gonna bother him too much. As long as the guys in the locker room is getting together and doing what they're supposed to do. He knows how to block out the outside noise and do his job to best his ability.
Yeah, and I have a two-part question here for you, Mr. Curl, because I wanted to say thank you for your service. You were in the U.S. Navy.
Thank you.
Looking back on it, I believe you started in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. That being said, were you busy out in the desert in those early days? Yeah, you were.
Yes.
All right. And so I wanted to ask you, sir, you obviously being a military person and with Kam Curl, Like, was there anything that you learned from the military that kind of like you instilled with Cam, with kind of playing the game of football, the work ethic as being a professional? Because from what I've seen, this kid is literally the top of the bill. He does everything he's supposed to. He just continues to keep his nose to the bill and to the grind and work hard.
You did an amazing job, by the way.
Is any correlations there between the military and how he plays the game of football?
Yeah, I believe so. Because younger, when he was younger in youth football, you know, I wasn't too far removed from the military, and plus we still lived in a military town. All my friends and everything was still military. So yeah, you know, being on time, saying you're gonna do something, you know, do it, and if you're gonna do it your best. You know, all that stuff we talked about. And when he was young, I mean, he set a goal at a young age that this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to try to make it to the league. And I told him, you know, if you want me to help you, I'm going to help you. And sometimes you're not going to like me. Are you cool with that? Sometimes we ain't going to get along because I'm going to push you, you know, and we ain't going to get along. And he was like, hey, I'm cool with it. And I just, you know, from what I've learned growing up and then being in the military, I just use that for him and his work ethic. And, man, he done it, man.
Yeah, that's great. That's huge. And looking forward to this Sunday, obviously they got the Saints coming in. That's a team that likes to run the ball a lot. Usually, you're looking at the Saints in the past, they've been a real heavy volume passing team with Drew Brees back there. But now they got Jameis. They're trying to, I guess, kind of hide him in the offense, run the ball out with Kamara. Do you see this defense finally stepping up to the bill and stopping Kamara? And do you think that they're going to overcome the Saints on Sunday?
Yes. Yeah. I think we'll beat the Saints. If our defensive line, I tell you what, it looked like the first few games, it looked like we was trying too much, trying to do too much. We trying to get those numbers up. We're trying to live up to the hype instead of just relaxing and playing ball. And I think that's what they're going to do this week is relax and just play ball, play their game. And I think our defense can stop the run. Now, I know they're going to try to put that BYU quarterback in there. To try to throw us off on some stuff. But, yeah, I think we'll overcome them and beat them.
Yeah, I agree. This is going to be a perfect game, I think, for Washington, the defense to really get it going and kind of live up to expectations. I mean, you got Jameis Winston coming into town, complete wild card. Jameis will throw. He doesn't care. Jameis is either going to tear you up or, hey, you're going to be able to light him up. So what are your expectations for this defense going up against the Saints? Do you think that this is a week that they get it turned around? Because they kind of need to with then you have the Chiefs and the Packers coming up after that.
Yes. You know what? I'm expecting to see multiple players up front come up with sacks this Sunday. I'm expecting multiple turnovers this Sunday. I think we're gonna get that done. We're gonna pad our turnover stats this week, and we're gonna get them rattled early on offense, and have the Saints trying to think and trying to beat that defense early instead of us trying to stop them early. You know, we want to put them on their heels first, and I think that's what we're gonna be able to do.
Right. Let's hope Jameis does not start eating W's at midfield against us.
And those crab legs, right? Absolutely. Yeah. I have another two-part question for you, Mr. Curl. The first one being, you know, you talked about how Cam came to you and said, you know, I want to be a professional football player. I want to get to the league. Will you help me, kind of thing. So when did you know Cam was going to be a professional and like that he fit the bill for it? And then what was it like the night that he got drafted for you as a parent?
When did I know? I mean, it's hard to say actually knowing. I mean, I had a feeling when he was in youth football. I mean, he was really good, but heck, a lot of kids are. And but I had a guy. He passed away. He was in San Diego. He knew a lot of the greats that came out of San Diego, Reggie Bush and Ricky Williams and all those guys. I mean, he coached them in Little League, and he used to always say that Cam had the same thing. You know, as a dad, I'm not gonna get over hype. I'm like, man, he's 6, 7 years old.
All right.
You know, he's doing his thing. He's doing his thing. But as he got older, and I saw how serious he would take it. You know, it could be a Saturday and his friends, you know, want to go hang out. And he like, you know, I'm finna go up to the field. I'm finna run cone drills. I'm finna gonna do this. I'm gonna work out, and stuff like that. And then his senior year in high school, when he just shut everything down and focused on football because he wanted to go to college, and then he wanted, he got to Arkansas, and I mean, he didn't even do track his senior year, run track. He just focused strictly on football and working out, because he said, I want to play as soon as I get there. So he wanted his body to be the body of a college athlete when he got there, and he wanted to be, everything when he got there. He didn't want to wait to get there to get ready. And that's when I said, man, he got the work ethic to make it to the next level. Right. And draft night, well, you talk about a roller coaster, man. It's crazy because
it was a weird draft with COVID too.
Man,
right?
Yeah, that too. And from the combine to the draft, before the combine, never heard anything from Washington. Never. It was the Ravens. It was the Vikings. It was San Francisco. I think at the combine, it was Arizona. Walked us to the car, talking. And even after the combine, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, the Jets. Oh, they was heavy. It was so many teams, and even during draft night, we heard from Minnesota. We even heard from the Cowboys.
Wow.
Heard from the 49ers. The Cowboys I think they had planned on trying to take him in the 4th round, and they ended up taking a center that was still on the board. They didn't know he was going to be on the board.
One story that we heard was Cam was about to be drafted by the Ravens. More than likely, had he been able to make a meeting, I believe, an in-person meeting with some of the coaching staff, but his flight was delayed or something due to COVID.
Yeah.
Is that true?
The first day they were able to fly in players for meetings. Yeah, he was in line. He was boarding the plane, and his agent called him and was like, "Don't get on the plane." They just canceled everything with Baltimore. They was flying him out for a meeting. They wanted to look at him face to face,
Right.
Yeah. And San Francisco, the 49ers on draft night called him and told him, "Hey, if you don't get drafted in this last round, we're going to offer you a free agent contract, undrafted free agent contract."
Right.
And then when he got the call from Washington, he had already, he was so frustrated. He had went outside by himself. We were still in the house, looking out the window. He was in the backyard and looking out the patio window. And I saw him pick up his phone, and I saw his face light up, and he stood up. We all standing in the house like, "What, man, what?" We run outside, and he's like, "It was Washington." And I was like, "Washington?" I said, "Have they called?" He's like, "Man, I ain't talked to Washington since I talked to the guy on the train leaving the facilities in Indianapolis."
Wow.
I said, "What?" I said, "Hey, well, this is where you meant to be then, bro.
Yeah.
This is where you
telling you."
That's a wild story, man. Look, we're happy to have him here because ever since he stepped foot on that field, he's been one of the standout players on not only the defense, but the team as a whole. Yeah. And speaking of, we were talking about before we started recording that you were a Chargers fan as well. So obviously they got a great running back with LaDainian Tomlinson in their history. We got a pretty good one here in Antonio Gibson. Yeah. Do you think he can kind of keep up this pace and maybe ascend to that kind of top running back in the league, kind of top 5, top 7 status?
Oh yeah. He has the talent. He has the speed. It's gonna be up to the team and the coaches, on how we use him and how we protect him as a running back. Heck, Barry Sanders was one of the greatest you ever seen.
Yep.
But I think if that brother would have stayed, man, he probably wouldn't be walking today. I mean, he got beat to death, But
valid point.
And that's one of the things, long as they protect. I think he has the ability to be one of the top, man. And once we get everything solidified with our passing game, everything gets easier for him. They complement each other too. Once they start worrying about us slanging that ball, it opens up for him to do his thing, man. And I love his humility too. He's a humble dude.
Right. Yeah. Real fast about Cam. Did he play any other positions growing up? Has he always been strictly a defensive back / safety, or what was he like in high school? playing
In
football.
high school, he played wide receiver and DB.
He's got the size and the body for a receiver too.
Yeah,
You could
and,
tell.
He's got the hands for him.
Yeah.
In youth football, he was a running back.
Okay.
Eighth grade, he switched to quarterback, which he hated, but he was good.
Really?
Yeah, he got invited to a academic All-American Bowl in the 8th grade as a quarterback.
Oh wow.
And he hated. See, 7th, 8th grade, he played quarterback. 9th grade, he refused to play quarterback. Wouldn't even go to quarterback workouts.
Wow. Hey, you hear that, Coach Ron?
Wide receivers. Yeah. And at the time, the varsity head coach, high school varsity head coach, he wanted him to be his quarterback. That's all he talked about. This is going to be my quarterback when he get to high school. But he changed his mind and played receiver. And his goal was to go to college as a wide receiver.
Wow.
And I kind of talked to him, and I was like, "Hey, listen here. You know, 6'1", 6'2" wide receiver, a dime a dozen. Ain't too many 6'1", 6'2" DBs out there. Cornerback. So the end of his junior year, he finally was like, you know what? I'm gonna focus on this DB thing. Because when he went to Nike, I'm looking for him down there with the DBs. He down there with the wide receivers because scoring touchdowns is fun. Scoring touchdowns is fun. But he focused on that DB, man. Because I noticed at a young age he was pretty good as a DB, man. And I told him he'd do that with your length and your arms. And I have friends that played in the league, and they would always say that too. They was like, man, tell Cam play DB because he got the body for it.
Yeah,
he knew, dude. He just knew he didn't like quarterbacks. He wanted to hit him. I can't fault him for that. Now to wrap this up, Mr. Curl, my last question to you is: what is your prediction for this Sunday's game? Score and MVP.
I'm gonna do the MVP first. I'm gonna give the MVP to the whole defense because the defense is gonna shine.
They need it.
They gonna click and they gonna shine and they gonna put the pressure on them. The score, I'm real confident in the defense. I'm gonna say we'll win 24-6.
Woo!
Oh wow!
And that's 2 field goals, not a touchdown. We ain't gonna allow a touchdown.
That's a dominant performance right there. I like that.
That's what I like to hear.
That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see them dominate.
They're capable of it. They just they got to click.
That'll get the fan base hyped again. I'll tell you that.
I know Jack DeRill will be happy about that, dude. He was bludgeoned in his press conference today. Mr. Curl, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out and coming and joining us. You've been a huge supporter of ours. I really do appreciate that, sir. It's been a pleasure being able to talk with you. I wanted to again say thank you so much for your service to this country and just being an awesome dad and being an awesome person because this has been a lot of fun, sir.
Yeah. Hey, I need to get with you on the gear, bro. I mean, I need to get my gear game up, boy. You keep the gear,
man. Kyle goes dumpster diving outside a lot, true. So like he finds a lot of.
Take me with you, bro.
I will, Mr. Crow. I will be hitting you up. This is my go-to right now.
All right, bro.
All right, Mr. Crow. You have a great night, sir.
It, man. Have a good one, man.
All right, take it easy.
All right, that was such a great time to be able to talk with Mr. Curl. That was fantastic.
Dude, he is. You can 100% tell he is Cam's dad. Like they're so similar. It's crazy. And he's such a cool guy. Shout out to him, man. He raised a hell of a kid, man. He did good. Not only is he a pro athlete, but Cam was super respectful, fun, awesome to talk to. And we talked to him. He did good.
Yeah, he did. And speaking of fun, the Burgundy Zone is part of Listen Frederick, a curated network of local podcasts produced in and focused on the Frederick area. Along with highlighting local talent, Listen Frederick hopes to bring local stories, voices, and personalities together to create a podcast community. Listen Frederick is part of the Manning Media family, home of Key 103 and 106.9 The Eagle. You can check out more about us and other shows on the network at www.listenfrederick.com. Now, before we get into our last guest here, which will be joining us very, very shortly, let's go over these fan questions because we have a boatload, my friends. And Hall, I'll start this one with you from our guy, Tony Shivers, one of our biggest supporters and fans. Big T. Thank you, T. He wants to know, how do you think Jamin Davis will respond to an increased role now that John Bostic is out for the season?
That's a great question. I think it'll be a roller coaster. I think he's going to have some bumps and bruises here and there, just like the first couple weeks of the season. You're going to see plays where he's getting steamrolled like we've seen before. You're going to see plays where he's out of position like we've seen a couple times here before. but you're also going to see flashes of a guy that can run sideline to sideline. They're going to see a guy, obviously, that can tackle in open space. See Sterling Shepard on that third.
Your mic went out. Yeah, try to fix it. But do I think that Jamin, how will he respond to an increased role? I think that he will respond because a lot like we saw with Kam Curls last season, when you give him that opportunity, he's going to be able to do something with it. And what I saw at Jamin last week, I know he did get put back on his back again, but that's when his feet stopped. I feel like when the moment is necessary, because Jack Del Rio had a quote in his presser today. He was like, he needs it and we need it. You know, it was kind of like this is just working out the right time because we both are going to need something here. And going against Alvin Kamara with that kind of speed, with our linebackers, we're going to need that speed there. And so I think Jamin Davis is going to really respond very, very well. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people this weekend. Try now, Hall.
No, yeah, just to summarize what I was going to say was it's going to be some ups and downs, a roller coaster. Like I was saying, you're going to see him out of position a couple times here and there. You're going to see him, like you just talked about, kind of stand flat-footed, maybe get taken to the ground, steamrolled here and there. But it's a learning process, just like you said. Del Rio said we both need this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that you'll see him running sideline to sideline. You're going to see him make some tackles in open space like he did in the Giants game against Sterling Shepard and against this past weekend against the Falcons. So it'll be a mixed bag of some bad, some good. But I think by the end of the season, we're going to be like, you know what? We have a good one right here. It took some time, but we got a good one.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And that's the other thing. I agree with both of you guys, so I'll keep this short. But I do think that you are going to see a few plays from him where you're like, okay, that's why we took him number 19. Like, it might not be the most flashy play, but it's going to be something where you're like, okay, this dude did his job. He was at the right spot. He had great coverage on this person. He uses athleticism, whatever it is. It's going to be something where you're like, okay, I see now. I see what they saw in him. And people need to calm down and pump the brakes when it comes to Jamin Davis. He's a rookie.
And one of my favorite coaches I've ever had the pleasure of being coached by, Belcher, he said, I remember saying something about Brian Urlacher being
Jerry Sandusky,
one of the best linebackers in the NFL. And he said, yeah, but when you run at him, that's how you beat him. You know, he's very good at side to side, stretch plays, you know, being deep downfield and passing situations. And that's how I kind of look at Jamin. When the play is ran at him, he's kind of not at his best, getting off blocks and everything. He can get swallowed up sometimes. But when it's sideline to sideline, when it's out in space, he's good to go. And going against the Saints, who they love to put their guys out in space, it's a really good thing to have. Now, our next question is from our guy, Brandon Rybold, Meast 21, my guy. Reed, I want to go with you. Is Jack Del Rio on the hot seat?
I think that they definitely hear all the chatter. I think Ron does. I think that, I mean, this defense is so talented that if they don't pick it up, he's going to be on the hot seat. And but unless this defense just completely keeps this up the way that they've played, if they just continue this, I think Del Rio will eventually be gone by the end of the year, maybe even by midseason. But I don't see that happening. They're just too talented. He's too good. He's too smart. He knows what he's doing. Like, it's just they gotta gel. They gotta come together. But is he on the hot seat? If it's not hot, it's getting warm. And that's it. Again, I know it's only been 4 games, but this defense is that talented that they should be the best in the NFL.
If the hot seat means that there's people telling him that the defense has to get better, then I think he's on the hot seat. I don't think he's like at a risk of losing his job, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, they have Chris Harris, who's the secondary coach. The secondary hasn't done that well. Coach Harris was getting interviewed for head coaching jobs in the offseason. So it's not like this is a bad coaching staff. If it was that bad, I think Coach Harris would be able to have some input into the situation on how to correct things. So that's why I don't think it's really – I think it's just an accumulation of everything, and they just have to play better as a unit. So is Jack Del Rio on the hot seat? No, not in my personal opinion. Not until the end of the season. I don't think there would be anything going on mid-season.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm with both of you guys. I think it's warm right now just because, again, with the accumulated talent that we have and there's how we're getting beat so badly on the defensive side of the ball. I think that it's getting warmed up because it's kind of the same mistakes by the same kind of group of people over and over and over type of thing where it's kind of like, okay, well, that's kind of like a coaching type of thing where you got to coach it out of them. But with that being said, I don't think it'll be a during the season type of thing where they're going to let him go during the season. So if you want to call that a hot seat where he gets let go during the season, I don't see that at all. But if the trend continues downward for this defense or at the pace that it's at now, I could definitely see him being let go at the end of the season. But again, I just think there's so much talent that like Coach Curl was just talking about, I think that eventually everything will kind of settle out and kind of
the ship will right itself.
Complement each other. So I think that they'll probably finish the season around 16 to 18 on total defense. But again, if they finish 25 to the back end, I definitely think that they can definitely look at letting him go.
Yeah, and that's a great one. Now, the last question from Brandon is a fantastic one, and he basically said that there's been a bunch of players that have been diving for pylons for the touchdowns this season. J.D. McKissick, Taylor Heineke, and then Antonio Gibson as well. So he wants to know in this game which player is going to be diving for the pylon.
That's a good one. I will go with. You know what? I'm gonna ride the wave that Coach Curl's talking about. I think it'll be a defensive player on an interception. I'll give it to my man Kam Curl, getting a tip pass at the line. They finally tip a pass at the line. Kam Curl catches it, runs, dives to the pylon, gets a touchdown.
Hey, I'm going to say Ricky Seals-Jones.
God damn it, Kyle.
With Logan Thomas being out for the year, I could definitely see Ricky Seals-Jones like having that kind of play action drag across the field. Taylor finds him, and he's got to beat the linebacker or corner to the pylon, and he dives to get it. I definitely think that could be one. I'm sorry, Reed. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I thought I had a good one going with Ricky Seals-Jones, but you know what? I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go with somebody who's going to get the ball in space, and he's on a limited amount of snaps, but I'm going to go with Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel's going to get the ball in space, and he's going to make a big play. We know that he needs this. He's only going to see limited opportunity as of right now, but I think that guy's so dangerous. You could even see when he was on the field just a little impact that he made just being out there and what he could do. So I think, hey, this guy, you get him a quick bubble screen, he's going to beat you to the corner. He's going to get to the edge. And he's going to score a touchdown.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I saw that Curtis Samuel today did not practice. He did go through stretches with the team, but he did not practice. And obviously coming back from the groin injury. And then Scott Turner in his presser today actually made a comment and saying that they had a snap count for him in Sunday's game against Atlanta, and they actually went over that for his snap count. So maybe this is them kind of like, kind of subtracting from that and taking away his snaps during the week just to make sure he's healthy. I'm not 100% sure, but, I mean, that's what I would be guessing, right?
Yeah, I mean, with that.
It makes sense. He knows the offense, so it would make sense.
And with that kind of injury, you kind of got to ease them. You got to let them rest when they need rest, so it makes sense.
Groin injuries are tender, man. That's exactly what they are. Now, our next question is from our guy, Andy Burroughs in the UK. Oi! And the DC Tweet Team podcast, our guy, Andy. He wants to know, Reed, you were in charge of the Washington football team's new walk-up music to the field. What are you picking and why?
It's so funny. So you asked me this earlier, Andy, in the Discord chat, and the only songs that could come to my head, because James has been these stupid Sesame Street songs. Like, I just constantly, they just play on loop. Clearly, we're not going to come out to that. But then you think, you're like, what's a good motivational song? You're like, all right, well, there's something like Seven Nation Army or Enter Sandman. Those are already taken. Those are gone. Then, any AC/DC song, but those are, those are kind of worn out. I would say something like Welcome to DC by Mambo Sauce, but that's not going to get you as hype right now. But shout out to Big Doug, by the way, using that. I was talking about using that for an. Keep going. Oops, my bad. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I almost feel like it has to be something with a local artist, and it's got to be something. So you almost kind of have to go with Wale, something by Wale at this point. Like, I don't know, maybe something. I would say Bait, but that doesn't really. So it's hard right now. It's hard, but I'm gonna figure it out for you, Andy, and I will sell you something.
You will. You being a DJ, I figured that you would have some on the top of your head.
I just dropped like 30 songs right there.
Yeah, but you said all how they didn't work.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's the tough thing. I mean, and you can't just sit there. I mean, I could probably route, like, if you want to do something local, we could, but I'm not going to play Hello, or something by the Backyard Band. Like, it just doesn't get you hype enough. Great song.
Right. And Andy's next question for us, Hall, I'll go to you with this. Are some fans showing disrespect to Ron Rivera already? He said he's seen some people saying he should be fired.
Oh, yeah, that's 100% disrespect. It's not even – he hasn't even been here a year and a half at this point. It's been a year and a quarter of a season so far. Again, I think obviously a lot of people were like, oh, we won the division. Look at our defense. Everyone's talking about us as sneaky Super Bowl contenders. We can be the San Francisco of 2 years ago. Well, guess what? Clearly, people have been humbled, and I think that came as a shock, kind of a shock factor type of thing. And with the defense being so bad, and obviously Ron Rivera being a defensive type of guy, him and Jack Del Rio coached together. So it's disrespectful for him to talk about getting fired, and people need to just simmer down.
There's JP. There he is.
Hey, everybody. So we are now joined by our second guest of the night, and basically he's already a part of the podcast. I feel like his name should be just implemented with ours. Logan Paulsen, the very busy, very smart, the professor apparently now.
Professor Paulsen. Look at you. Where are your glasses? I knew that was a sham.
Where's the
my
fireplace?
gosh.
Where's the fireplace in the chair?
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Where's your
Seriously.
new best friend, Julie Donaldson? What? Thanks, Logan.
Now, Logan, the first.
I don't know. Well, I'm here with my original best friends. How about
Thank
that?
you.
There you go. Now, Logan, the first
Told you
question I
guys.
have for you is, the team lost Logan Thomas to the IR. Most likely he's going to be out at least a month, so we wouldn't be able to see him again, most likely until week 10, because their bye week falls on week 9. Ricky Seals-Jones, he has done really well in meantime being his backup, and they said John Bates is going to be taking over Ricky Seals-Jones' job from before. So are you confident with this group that they could get the job done?
You know, it's funny. I actually think that's kind of a better fit. Obviously, Logan Thomas is a tremendous football player. Maybe top 10 in the NFL, which is a testament to him what he did last year. And so it's always tough to replace a guy like that. But I do think Bates has an elite skill set, and he's like a very special inline blocker. And I think that's awesome because, when you watch him come in against Atlanta, obviously he struggled with some pass protection stuff. But, moving guys off the ball, creating running lanes, I'm excited about that. And then I think Ricky Seals-Jones is a pretty special receiver, at the position. Obviously he's kicked around a little bit and removed from his best football. But, I'd like to see him get some more opportunity because I think he's a good athlete. I think he moves well. I think he catches the ball well. So I don't think there's going to be a tremendous drop-off because I think you get two guys kind of replacing Logan Thomas' skill set. I think that's pretty cool.
Go ahead, Reed. You can go
Is
second.
my internet
Oh,
screwed?
okay. Yeah, it is, but it's okay. I'm used to it from our Call of Duty games that we always play. And so this offense is really, I think, taking people by surprise. I think this team in general, like if you were to tell me 5 weeks ago that the defense would be playing the way that they were and that we would be 2-2 led by our offense and Fitzpatrick would be out, I would call you crazy. I would say there's no way. But this offense is finding a way. Taylor Heineke seems like this guy has really got something special to him, and I think that the players really gravitate towards that. What is something that you've seen from Taylor Heineke that has really impressed you, and maybe what is something that he could still improve on?
Yeah, so I think Taylor Heineke obviously is an awesome story. You know what I mean? I think everyone says that every time I talk
it's a
to
movie, right?
Yeah, any single person can acknowledge that he has an outstanding story here with the Washington football team. So I think that goes without saying. However, I think he brings a really nice, mobility, brings a nice kind of, he pushes the ball down the field, tight window throws. The moment doesn't seem to be too big for him. I really like that. I think he's got a nice leadership style. I do think he puts the ball in harm's way 3 to 4 more times than I would like to see him do in the course of a game. Obviously, you saw some of that against the Bills, Bills capitalizing on that. Atlanta, there was a couple opportunities where the Atlanta defense could have taken advantage, but they kind of missed those opportunities. So I if he's going to continue to progress, which I think he will, those kinds of gut decisions that he seems to make need to get pulled way back. If they're going to be, playoff contender, win the division, those types of conversations, like he needs to take better care of the football.
Right. Yeah. And that would make a
Yeah, jumping back to the injury front on the defensive side of the ball, they lost John Bostic to a season-ending injury this past weekend. What do you think this defense is going to do to it, kind of make the adjustment, and how do you see them going forward?
Yeah, so I think obviously having Bostic out is a bigger loss from like a mental standpoint, but what I'm really hoping is that it clears the way, paves the way for Jamin Davis to kind of get some significant playing time and be a part of this defense in situations where I think his skill set is more suited, third down passing situations and nickel. I think, the guy you see in college excels in those situations. Now I'm hoping that this kind of clears the path for him to get some more reps, and it's going to take some time. There's going to be some growing pains, and obviously you never want to see a guy get hurt with like a pec injury or anything like that, because those are kind of notoriously long recoveries. But I'm hoping that this is good long term for the defense, and that it gets Jamin Davis some more experience and allows him to kind of blossom into the player that I think he can blossom into. And I'm hoping this kind of serves as the stepping stone for that.
Yeah, and one of the biggest issues with this defense is that they have trouble getting off the field on third down. It's almost at a record pace at the moment. Based off what you've seen on the film against the Falcons and how the Saints look, how can the Washington football team kind of fix their third down woes? I mean, this isn't impossible to do. You know, it's not rocket science. Things have to happen. How do you expect that to be done?
Yeah, I think that's a really tough question. I think there's a myriad of issues kind of happening. One, I think.
Wow.
He sounds like Forrest Gump.
The more I watch them, the more I think they're just trying to do a little bit too much. You know, like when do I?
He did. Yeah, it was like.
Let me see if I can call back in maybe.
Yeah, that's fine if you want to do that.
That's terrible.
I'll
call back in. How about that?
Okay. All right, that's cool.
That had nice flavor, I thought.
Yeah. Now, before we get Logan back in here, let's go over our next fan question. That was from Andy talking about Ron Rivera, with fans being too hard on Ron Rivera. Do you think that they're being disrespectful, Reed?
Yeah, like, Kyle, I think you talked about it. I saw you say this on Twitter, and it's really exactly how I feel. People need to. We're 2-2 right now. I know it hasn't been pretty. I know that the team hasn't played the way that you thought that it would, but people are already calling for Rivera's head. People are just being ridiculous right now, and it's so unfair. Like, remember last year how slow we started? Remember all the stuff that Ron brings us hope. We had a very tough part of the schedule. We've lost so far to the Chargers and the Bills, two very good teams, playoff teams. Like, people just need to relax. They're going to be okay, and people really need to calm down when it comes to Ron Rivera.
All right, and now we're joined again with Logan Paulsen. So
yeah,
this time, hopefully, I'm going to be able to get you that third down question. How do you think they could fix it?
So again, like, is this better?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was worried there for a second. Anyway,
and there goes.
So yeah, I think this is a really complicated question. I think you're doing it now, so now I'm like, oh shoot.
Oh, you're good. Keep going.
But anyway, yeah. So I think that it's a complicated question. It says my internet connection's unstable, so
kind of like your.
I'll call back in one more time. Let's see. Let's just see. Magic's happening.
Hey, sometimes you unplug. Okay.
Sometimes you unplug.
And plug back in is what I was gonna say.
But look, all I'm gonna say is, like, people can feel how they want. You know, it's just, you know, when you're trying to grow a team, because essentially you're taking over things that were there before, and you're trying to mold it in a way that you're trying to build a good team, and things have to replenish. You have to do well, and that's why I was saying, like, a team is like a garden in a way where you're trying to grow. You can't plant something and then 15 minutes later say, why isn't it growing? It takes time. And yes, they did a lot last season, and there are more higher expectations this season, obviously. But I'm just going to sit here and say, like, it doesn't warrant what's happening right now.
And that's also kind of maybe I mean, we're all guilty of it, but maybe we set the bar too high. We had expectations that were set too high because last year, like we've got to remember, we were 7-9 last year. We weren't a winning football team. I mean, yeah, we won the division. That was more on account of them being bad. Maybe everybody had their expectations too high because we're going up against some good teams. It's probably going to take a little bit for this defense to gel. I do think that they are very talented and they will get it right, but at least look at the bright side right now. We're 2-2. I know that those 2 wins were tough and it came down to the last second, but hey, a win's a win. I don't see anywhere that says that, like, you almost lost this game, so that doesn't really count. So you don't make the playoffs this year, you know? So we're going to be okay. And, hey, at least our offense right now is rolling. If our defense gets a turnaround with our offense playing like this, we're going to be a very, very good football team. And special teams, besides Dustin Hopkins, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Look, all I'll say is, to wrap this up, is the team that's going to be here week 17, week 18 is not the same team it is today. It's a growing process of the season. Even though they were together last season, they did really well. You still have to gel as a team throughout the season. And this time last year, everyone was panicking, doing the same exact thing. Like, we were going to have a top 5 pick. We didn't know what we were going to do. Wanted to tank, for a quarterback and everything. I get it, but this is a good team. I really do believe that they're just not playing together. It's a perfect storm of issues, and they're just not playing as one, and that can be corrected and will be corrected. And if anyone is going to give our team the benefit of the doubt, the loyalty and the love and the defense to say, I do believe in them, I think it should be us. They're not going to get it from the national media. That's for sure.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
One more thing to add. Oh, never mind.
Nope.
Add him back in. No, it's all good.
You sure? Well, it's going to take him a second.
Oh, all right. Well, I was just going to say, well, no, it's all good.
All right, third time's a charm. What are we doing on third down, Logan?
Is this working now?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a computer genius.
I was just about to say that you're a computer genius.
I'm not, but I'm terrible with computers. That's why I did that probably. So third down, tough question. I think when I watch them a ton, I think that I think they're trying to do a lot, and I think sometimes when you have a problem, you tend to kind of overwork it, especially in football. You get all week to think about a problem. You're like, well, let's do this, let's add this, let's add this, and so they're playing like a 5-man front, they're playing a 4-man front, they're playing a lot of nickel, they're playing dime, they're moving pieces around in the back end. They got 4 new guys playing, and I get the vibe that they're not uber comfortable on the back end. The defensive line, for all of its like statistical woes, they're creating pressure. So like they're inches from creating sacks. So I think that's gonna materialize here sooner rather than later. So I'm not super worried about that. And if the back end starts playing better, I think that the quarterback's gonna have to hold the ball a little bit longer. So to me, I would just say if I'm Jack Del Rio, I kind of say let's go back to the basics. Let's just make this as easy. What are our like knockout punches, and let's just make sure we execute these as well as we can. No more mental mistakes. Let's try to eliminate the space. Let's try to match concepts versus these coverages, and I think that's the ultimate solution. It's easier said than done, obviously, but I think you got to kind of take a couple steps back, kind of maybe do some reinstallation of the early stuff just to get those guys more comfortable.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm just going to ask you straight up, should fans be worried? I mean, should they start to panic right now with this defense playing the way it is? Or, I mean, what do they have to look forward to? What is something that, can kind of ease their minds a little bit when it comes to this defense?
Well, like I said, I think the defensive line is playing well. I think, honestly, the guys in the
Especially
back.
Jonathan Allen.
Yeah, Jonathan Allen, Payne, 2 weeks, pretty solid football. Montez Sweat's playing well. I think Chase is. I think you can talk about his technical prowess and how that needs to improve, but he's still creating pressure. Like if you watch him down in and down out, it's maybe not as consistent as people like, but it's there. It's just got to happen. Sacks have to start coming out of it and big plays. I think on the back end, you feel pretty good about the personnel you got back there. I think St. Juice is going to be a really good like cover man corner. I think William Jackson III is a good man corner. I think Fuller's a good slot guy. I think those pieces are good. I think they just need to gel, kind of like mix into that pie, stir it up a little bit, see what comes out of it. And I think long term, you feel good about what's back there. It's just got to start clicking a little bit. And so because the personnel seems right to me, I would say that it's going to click at some point. It's just, when does that happen? Does that happen 3 weeks from now? Does that happen this week? Does that happen 6 weeks? It's hard to tell. So I hope, I've been talking to people in the building and I don't get great vibes from like the coaches and how they're handling this on the defensive side of the football. But like, I'm hoping that like one week it'll just click and everyone's feeling good. They start making plays. And sometimes that happens. Like it's so weird. It's like, what did Simone Biles had? She had the spinnies or whatever. And like,
the spin. Right. Yeah.
And like pitchers get the yips and all that kind of stuff. Like sometimes you're trying really hard. You're not in the right spot. You're not seated the right way. And then all of a sudden you're out of it. So I'm hoping something like that happens.
Right. Literally happened to Markelle Fultz. Remember, Markelle Fultz was so good, and then he got a case of the yips. All of a sudden, now he's not too good. And also, Logan, this better happen soon because we got the Saints this week, followed by Kansas City and Green Bay. So we're hoping to get it picked up.
Well, I think it's interesting that like I think everyone thinks the Saints are this vaunted offense. They're going to throw the ball over the yard. Like their offense has looked insanely conservative. So in a lot of ways, I feel like this might, I fingers crossed that whatever is keeping Sean Payton from like opening this offense up, he still feels that way this week. Because if I'm Sean Payton, I've watched the film of this, I'm like, they're going to let Jameis Winston throw it all over the yard because he's got that kind of talent. And it would really open up this offense in a nice way. But right now, like in the 3 games that they've looked pretty good, take out the Carolina game, they've run the ball over 62% of snaps. Like I've never seen an NFL offense, like probably since my first year in the NFL, go run on first down, run on second down, run on third down, and then throw a screen. It's like, it's so conservative.
Jay Gruden always ran on first down.
What's that?
Jay Gruden always ran on first down.
Right. But like just to have a sequence like that where it's run.
I know.
You're running 3 times for first down. And so if anything, I feel that this defense is like, it's simple. Here it is. They're going to run mid zone. They're going to run duo. They're going to run Wanda. They're going to run like kind of 4 runs. They're going to run bubble screens. They're going to, you know what I'm saying? It's there. Just keep it in front of you, rally to it, make some plays. I feel like this is a good opportunity to get right. Now they're really good at what they do, but it's not like this, you got to cover, the width of the field and the depth of the field, right? It's very at the line of scrimmage. So I'm hoping that Sean Payton keeps that coming into this week.
Right. Yeah. Oh, real fast. I got to go, guys. I got to take off. I'll
Good
text
luck.
you later. And Kyle and Hall, I'll see you guys too. But Logan, I'll talk to you later too.
Yeah. Later, buddy.
Bye, guys.
Go Hall.
That's funny. So made me forget my question. So there's been a couple of injuries to the wide receiver core as well. I think Cam Sims is
Yep, he hasn't practiced
not out,
yet.
but has a hamstring. A couple guys have gone down. Curtis Samuel hasn't been practicing. If those guys can't go, who do you think is going to step up opposite Terry with? Obviously, Terry's going to do what Terry does, but who do you think will be that second guy to kind of relieve some of that pressure off of him?
Yeah, so it's Cam Sims, De'Ami Brown, right? And then Curtis Samuel didn't practice but is expected to play, correct? Is that what
Yes.
Yes.
He went through stretches and he didn't practice, but he was on the side field.
Right. So I think he'll probably – he looked great to me in the first game for a guy who hasn't played football in a long time. So to me, I think you feel pretty good about your starting three. You're going to go Terry, Humphreys, and Curtis Samuel. I think you feel pretty good about that going into this week. I personally would prefer if Curtis was playing in the slot, kind of that move piece, because I think he does a lot of good stuff for you there. But with the depth chart, what it is at the moment, I think you got to kind of say, hey, we got to back up a little bit and just kind of move our best piece, like make sure our best three are on the field. And I don't think Humphreys, while I think he's a good football player, I don't think he excels outside really. And I think Curtis Samuel at least has a skill set that makes you think, okay, he's got some good vertical speed. Maybe not the most disciplined route runner, but he's good and he scares you. And he can win a one-on-one matchup. So that's what I would do. I would, obviously Terry, Humphreys, and then obviously Ricky Seals-Jones at the tight end in passing situations. And I think, quite frankly, I feel pretty good about that. And then I think DeAndre Carter showed some flashes as a receiver last game. I think you feel comfortable if he has to spell somebody in a pinch. And then I'm trying to think who else is on the depth chart. I think that's it, right?
Yeah. What's it called? DeAndre Carter. I'm not sure if you already said DeAndre.
Dax Milne, right? And so maybe you see a little maybe first appearance of Dax Milne this week, kind of in some spell positions and see what he can do. And that's exciting because I think he's a very thorough route runner. I think when you watch him in training camp, when you watch him in the preseason, I think you feel really good about his skill set. So it might be nice to see him get some action, get some work this year. Just outside, I don't think it's going to be crazy, but he'll probably do some spell those starting three a little bit.
Yeah, and I noticed that you were on 106 with your other friend, Grant Paulsen. I know you guys have a history together. Grant is great. I absolutely love him. But you had a comment about Taylor Heinicke and the kind of simplified defenses. With that being said, with what you've seen out of New Orleans, do you think they have that kind of sophisticated defense? Or do you think that they could stifle the offense this weekend?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question. I think of the defenses that the Washington football team has played thus far, they kind of fall in the simpler category. Like when you watch Buffalo, they were doing some really kind of fun stuff, like creative stuff, playing football at a high level, nice blitz packages, and just good awareness by the personnel on the field too. Like a group that's been in the system for a while and plays well together. New Orleans is a group that's played together for a long time, so they have kind of this confidence as a group, and they've got really good personnel kind of at all three levels of the defense, which is kind of fun to watch. But it isn't overly complicated, right? They play quarters, they play cover three, they might sprinkle in a little Tampa 2, third down, a little bit more man heavy with kind of some exotic-ish pressure looks. First down, they might bring a run pressure, but again, it's a simpler contour behind it. It's not crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
you feel pretty good about to me, it's like kind of the maturation of Atlanta's defense, right?
Okay.
It's the final form of Atlanta's defense.
It's a Charizard.
Right? Yes, exactly right. And so Charizard is way more scary than Charmander, right? Or whatever the heck the little guy is.
I'm surprised you knew that.
So I got kids, man. I know the deal. I'm hip on the Pokemon. But yeah. So obviously you're gonna kick Charmander's butt. And Charizard's going to throw a lot of flame, right? And so they have some really good pieces that can throw flame. And if you really watch that Giants game, the Giants won. Great job by Daniel Jones and that whole group there. But they really won on like 5 big plays. They were really patient. They protected the football. They were committed to kind of just slogging it out, punting the football. And then they were able to make big plays and had to make big plays. And so my big question for this week is, can Heinicke kind of be patient, be methodical, be a mature player like we talked about? Can he keep the ball out of harm's way as much as possible? And I think I feel good about it because it's not overly complicated, but they do make you work for it, you know? So I think that's where I stand on it.
That makes sense.
Right. And you might have heard, you might not, I don't know. But Chase Young hasn't gotten a sack yet. And this fan base is kind of going crazy over it.
What? No.
I know that might be breaking news. I don't know. But what are some things you've seen on tape through these first 4 games that he's done well? And what are some things that he can kind of improve on to kind of turn that corner and start making some plays in the backfield and getting sacks?
Yeah, so I think the thing about Chase, like, he gets a lot of criticism, and I think, you know, your second pick overall, that's probably warranted on some level. I think he's playing hard, which is good, right? He's not a guy it's not effort issue. To me, it's just kind of a maturity, technique kind of issue. So all the good pass rushers I've been around, or I've heard people who've been around, they're very methodical. They're very deliberate in terms of their preparation and how they prepare for different offensive linemen. They understand, like, this is how he likes to, you know, throw his hands. This is how he likes to be with his feet. This is all these different things. And that takes study and it takes preparation. And right now, when I watch Chase, I see a guy who doesn't have like a cultivated plan. It's just like, I'm big, I'm strong, I'm fast, I'm going to play really hard and play physically. And that works well in college because you're way bigger and stronger than everybody. But in the NFL, like, you got some dogs out there now. You got some really big, fast, athletic offensive linemen who are scary human beings, you know, and they get paid a lot of money to make sure you look bad. And so I think I'd like to see him kind of, even if it's a small thing, just have a more digested plan than what he's doing right now. Have something that he feels really comfortable about. Like, one of the things in the NFL that I noticed is, like, really good rushers know the line to rush, right? So they set their line, they rush the outside shoulder of the tackle, but they're not bowing around the tackle. They're rushing from like point A to where the quarterback is. It's in as straight a line as possible. And when I see Chase, he's kind of getting a little wide. He's kind of, you know what I mean? He's working the outside shoulder, but not great. And so just get it tightened up a little bit, tighten that stuff up, and then you'll be there.
Instead of like a cut, like a right angle, it's more like curved is what you're basically saying.
So ideally, like, Ryan Kerrigan was really good at this. Like, it's a straight line. And so if the tackle oversets the line, you run inside. If the tackle undersets it, you attack the outside shoulder. And so if you don't have a consistent line and you don't know how the tackle is going to set, it's really hard to be uber consistent with that. You know, like, you watch Joey Bosa, you watch like literally any, like, Von Miller. They understand how to manipulate that line for the tackle, and they're really creative with it, and they're really consistent with how they do it. And right now, Chase is just like, I'm going to run and I'm going to try and throw something when I get there. Doesn't seem like he understands how the hands are going to come. And that's, again, he's a young football player who's been better than a lot of people for the course of his, like, he's playing in the NFL with kind of minimal technique and looks like a stud. You know what I mean? It's I want to see that next click for him. You know what I mean? Get there. And then we'll be talking about a guy who's going to have 15 or 20 sacks. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, he's got to, the mental step is what's got to come next.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean by that. And to wrap this up, Logan, I have a 2-part question for you because Hall brought this up earlier with John Bostic going on IR, and so they called up Jordan from the practice squad to come play linebacker. A lot of the talk around town has been bring in one of these free agent linebackers. What do you think of that situation? Do you think that they should be looking for free agency or a trade, or do you think that they should keep in-house?
I think that's a really good question. I think when I look at the free agents on the street at the moment, I think obviously Jalen Smith signed with Green Bay, but everyone was talking about him for a while. And he was a guy that wasn't, I don't want to sound overly critical, but he wasn't playing very well, you know? And so I think fans recognize his name and they're like, oh, we should sign him immediately. But, like, is he an upgrade over what you've got here? And quite frankly, it wouldn't be significant enough for me to want to bring him in and kind of disrupt that room. Okay. And so I think that's a big thing. I think another one was McKitty, who was in Houston and then with the Dolphins. Like, I played with him, and I think he's a really good dude. I think he's a really good football player, but he's like a linebacker that's like 5 years, you know, like, he's a big run-stopping linebacker. We are in a division here that's going to throw the ball all over the yard. You want coverage players there. And so I think finding that skill set is really tough. Like, you know, and I do believe that maybe I think when they drafted Jamin, one of the reasons I like the pick is because I thought they were thinking ahead. I thought they were thinking to the future of the NFL in terms of coverage and handling that stuff. So I'd like to see him step up. You know, Khaleke Hudson played kind of that safety hybrid role. Like, get him on the field maybe a little bit, see how he handles something. Because one of the issues is the linebackers underneath are struggling and filling voids. Now, it's really challenging. I'm not being critical of them, but maybe adding a little bit more speed, maybe adding a little bit more guys who are more familiar with route concepts would help in that area. And I'm hoping that that's the case, but they are young, they are inexperienced players. And I don't think just bringing someone in off the street who's playing okay adds a ton of value, in my opinion, based on what this team has at the position right now.
And that would make a lot of sense. But my last one for you, the keys for Washington in order to get a victory this weekend going against the Saints at FedEx Field.
Yeah, so I think based on what the Saints have done thus far, there's a couple. One is, can Payne, Allen, Jamin Davis, Holcomb, can they put their mouthpiece in, put the eye black on, put the neck roll on, and be like, we are going to stop the run this week? Because if you look at Alvin Kamara, he had like 24 carries last week for 120 yards. He didn't have a run longer than 10 yards. So he is grinding that out. Those are 4 yards, 3.5, 5 here. And it's a death by 1,000 cuts.
Yep.
Can they say, you will not do this week? We are going to physically impose our will on you. I'd like to see that, because you know what's coming. It's like when you're going into a heavyweight fight, like against Deontay Wilder, he had one punch and no one could stop it. Can we stop it knowing what they're going to bring? The next thing I think is really interesting is it's really Winston versus Sean Payton, to be totally honest. Because
I like the way you
because
put that.
right now, to me, if I'm Sean Payton, if I'm the offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints, I am opening the passing game up a little bit. I'm letting Jamin push the ball down the field. But for whatever reason, he has been so conservative. Sean Payton, now I'm talking about. I hope he keeps it that way. I hope it stays that way, because it helps the Washington football team. But if for whatever reason he says, okay, this is the week, we got to do it, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for this group. I know they have great skill position players outside, but I think Jamin, at least from what I've seen, is playing well. He's getting through his reads nicely, manipulating defenses with his eyes. And then the next one would be Taylor Heineke, quite frankly. Like every week, he's the most important. He's playing the most important position on the field. And it seems like this offense kind of rises and falls with him. So those are the three elements I think are super important coming to this week.
And those were fantastic, Logan. As always, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know taking your time out and then being able to be the computer genius that you are, being able to fix your internet. That was fantastic.
So sorry about that, guys.
It's all good. Dude, it was
Third
perfect,
time's a
Logan.
charm.
It's fine. All right, we'll see you next time, sir. I know I'm going to be hitting you up in the very future. Keep up the great work with everything you're doing walking with the Washington football team. I've seen you on a bunch of pods on the radio. Keep doing your thing, Logan.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for all the support. And pod's looking great, man.
Thank you, brother. I'll see you soon.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, later,
Have
guys.
a good one.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with the Logan Paulsen again.
The man.
The man. Now, to wrap this up, guys, I just want to finish up these questions real quick, because I did want to get some from the Colonel. He wants to know this, Hall. Since Buffalo is considered a measuring stick, what is this New Orleans game then?
That's a good question. I'm not gonna call it a must-win like Atlanta, but it's one of those. This is one of those games where you should go out and beat this team. That's what the type of game it is. Just like Atlanta was one of those games where you should go out, you should beat this team. So this is one of those games where they should come in, they should look fairly dominant in this game. It's probably going to be a defensive battle, just like Logan was just talking about. A team likes to run the ball a lot. That's kind of been our defensive strength so far. So I think it comes down to a low-scoring game, and I definitely think that I forgot the question.
It was considered a measuring stick game for
measuring
Buffalo.
stick. Yeah, no, it's not a measuring stick, but it's like I said, it's one of those games where this is a team on the other side of this, on the other sideline that you're facing and that you should come in and you should beat, and that's how I look at it.
What is this game? Dude, honestly, this is it's a big game. I wouldn't say like just for like the season and everything, but given with all of the injuries, this is going to be an uphill game. And so they're going to have to really push this hard because like Logan said, they're going to need to come in and punch the Saints in the mouth. And that's what they're going to have to do because they're going to want to get Kamara out in space and do whatever they want with him and then have play action off of that. And Jameis, as much as a goofy guy that he will destroy you. He will if you give him that ability. But you got to move his feet. You got to keep him moving. He's very inaccurate once he's off one leg and stuff like that. So make sure you hamper on that. Now, thank you, Colonel. I know you had some others, but we're up against the clock here. And our last one is from our guy, Jeff Miles Hall. And he wants to know, forcing Landon Collins to linebacker and starting Kam Curls at strong safety, will that solve most of our problems in the pass defense?
I don't know if forcing him there will, because I feel like if you're forcing him to play a position he doesn't want to play, it's gonna turn out bad. Also, just going from like one position to another position, like it sounds like all like, oh yeah, you just move into the box and play linebacker, but there's a lot of technique that comes with it, a lot of reading blocks, reading like keying eye key stuff like that. So it's not just as simple as, all right, go play linebacker now, and Landon, like you can't play safety. So that with that being said, should Cam Curl be on the field a lot more? Yes. If you look at the snap count and the snap percentages over the past couple weeks, Landon has probably kind of been decreasing while Curl's been on the uptick with Bob McCain as well. So I can definitely what John Bostic being, I definitely think that they're gonna go to that three safety set a lot more. Like Logan was just talking about Khaleke Hudson, maybe he'll get mixed in there as well. So I definitely think it's gonna be a lot of hybrid packages on the field. But as far as moving Landon to linebacker, I just feel like if they were going to do that, they would have done that in the beginning of the season. They would have done it in the off season. So I think that ship is not even arrived. It's just, yeah.
I think it would help. But I don't think Landon Collins moving to linebacker is a thing. I just think that he needs to become a specialist. And what I mean by that is strictly as a run defender and as a blitzing kind of specialist right there. Getting out to the quarterback and stopping the run. That's what he's very, very good at. And that's what he should be utilized in. Cam has been strapping up. He's done a really good job in the past defensive game, and so I do think he deserves more snaps. And so hopefully we do get to see that this weekend. But I do think that would help. I just don't. The whole thing about moving Landon to linebacker is just a title, to be honest. Like, it doesn't really mean anything. So what are you going to do with Landon? Are you going to continue to have him one-on-one with a running back leaking out of the backfield like Cordero Patterson when you knew that that was the focal point and he had to travel a long way? Well, if we're going to ask you to travel a long way, we got to make sure that's a guy that can make a tackle one-on-one moving fast. You know what I mean? Because if we see it, if they saw it, other people are going to see it, and they're going to exploit it. I can bet you that. I can guarantee it. All right, everybody.
One more thing is, obviously, if you're going to like move him down to linebacker, he's going to have to be in the box a lot more, make some tackles. And what has everyone been complaining about even going back to last year, all this year so far? He's been missing a lot of tackles. So I just feel like moving him down the linebacker, like you said, it's just a title. I mean, he already kind of plays in the box a lot now as it is when he's on the field. But again, it really just comes down to making the tackle in space, not missing any more tackles. Because I feel like if you started making more tackles, people wouldn't even worry about, oh, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. It's just make more tackles. That's the glaring thing right now. He's just missing a lot of tackles, and people are just kind of frustrated with that.
Yeah, I did see a play from the Atlanta game where it was a play action and his zone was completely vacated, and as the ball's going over his head, he's like literally looking at the sideline. He has no idea what's happening. But dude, it happens. It's football. I don't mean to beat up on Landon. It's just, it's just how I see things. I'm probably wrong though. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Thank you so much to Coach Greg Curl. Absolutely fantastic. That was great. I actually had a question lined up for him. I was going to ask him a funny story about Cam, and the one about him being in the backyard and about high school was perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. He was awesome. And thank you to Logan. Thank you to everyone for your fan questions. Thank you, Tony, Brandon Reinbold, Andy, Colonel, Jeff Miles, Sergio. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to yours, Sergio, but we kind of answered that for you. All right, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you guys go to FedEx Field. I hope you're loud. The reason why we're recording on Thursday today is because I'm leaving for a wedding. Brother-in-law's getting married over the weekend, so I won't be attending the game on Sunday, but I will be watching. All right?
We didn't even do our predictions.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, what is your prediction for the game? Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, like I said before, I'm going to kind of ride the Coach Curl wave. I think that, again, I said this in the Bills game, and I said this in the Atlanta game. Third time's a charm. That's like the running theme of the night, right? Third time's a charm. I definitely think that with no evidence of this, I think that the defense finally plays almost up to the level they can. I think that they're going to get on top of Jameis, rush him. I got Washington in a low-scoring game, a defensive battle, winning this game 23-17.
I like that. I was right around par with you. I do think that is similar to what is going to happen. I think the Washington football team are going to win 20-13. I think the Saints are going to be able to get a touchdown in there and squeak one out, probably off a pass penalty or whatever, because they've been picking on William Jackson all day long. But I think 20-13. I think Washington squeaks it out. Taylor Heineke does probably throw a turnover, I think, but Look, man, they got to stop Alvin Kamara. That is rule number one. That is rule number one. They can win this game if they stop Alvin Kamara. If they completely take him out of the game, we're good to go, in my personal opinion. But that's about it. What MVP? Who do you think?
MVP. I'll go.
I'm going Montez Sweat.
I think it'll be Terry again. He's going against his former teammate and Lattimore at Ohio State. These guys know each other well. It's going to be a hard, tough battle. Obviously, Lattimore is one of the better corners in the league, but I think Terry gets the best of him, goes for another 100-yard game this week.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning into this episode, for joining us and making it this far. I apologize for the connection issues and everything. I'm sorry. We're trying to get a good show here for you guys, but sometimes this is what happens when you record live. All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
Paul.
And we'll see you guys on Monday. We'll watch your football team. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!